Approval of the agenda.
I'll second that.
I'd like to add the culvert policy under new business, please.
We'll make that number 9 and number 10 adjournment.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we can make it 6H.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Been moved by Simon Lawan and seconded by Brian Knight. All those in favor? Motion carried. Approval of previous minutes.
I move. Go ahead.
I approve the minutes.
By Susan and seconded by Brian. The minutes of July 23rd, 2018. All those in favor? Motion carried. Business arising from the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's not business, but it's just information. I was at the doctor's office here a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I'm not sure. But anyway, I brought up about another doctor, a guy that Smith, that he's been recruiting doctors. Anyway, I spoke to him about this issue. And what he informed me was, which enlightened me more, was the fact that he's not a recruiter. We have a recruiter here, but his job or her job, whoever gets hired, when a new doctor comes in, I'm more of a facilitator. So if the doctor needs a place, he'll help them and get a place. If there's any issues or problems he has with school, with kids or whatever, they'll be there to assist him on it. So that's a big part of the role. Because right now, when a new doctor comes in, they're kind of lost. They're out there, they're on their own. They got nobody to assist them like they had before when we had the old hospital system, where we had our own board and that there. They always had somebody help them. That's going to be the purpose, and they figure it'll be a big asset to them. Anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Correspondence.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Edwards was at the previous council meeting regarding her issue. She had a couple of issues, but this issue in particular was regarding the bylaw for tax exemption. And I just wanted to inform council that that is going to be looked at between the town solicitor and myself, and will come before council once it's drafted.
Great, thank you, Susan.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question? So is the exemption in our bylaw right now?
In speaking with the province municipal affairs, he stated that it was really outdated and it needs to be updated to include nonprofits. Right now, it's churches and
That's not how I read it, I guess. It does state nonprofit, does it not? So.
You are correct, Councillor Lawan. It just needs to be updated for today's request. So that's why it's going to the solicitor. I believe this one was done in the 1920s. So the province recommended updating it and saying that this would apply. She would be qualified, but it just would need to be clarified.
No, understood. I just don't want to hold the resident up. If it's in our bylaw, it is in our bylaw. So I think what I'm hearing is that she will be approved because it's in our bylaw, but we're still going to be working on the bylaw. That's what I'm understanding. Okay, thank you.
Susan, I think it's what you're trying to say. It's in the language.
Mr. Chair, so if that's the case, then they'll get the exemption. It doesn't have to be passed through council or anything.
Not once the bylaw is updated.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, October 15th is designated Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day, which will be brought towards to Council's consideration on October 15th to proclaim that day. However, they had this event at the Town Square in 2017, and they're just requesting again to have, if it's possible, to have it lit in light blue and light pink like it was last year, the lights in the Town Square. So they're just bringing that request forward to Council again.
There was no problem getting those lights in last.
I understand that there was difficulty in finding pink lights, but once they were found, there was no difficulty. No.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I attended that. I think Mayor attended as well. It was an interesting function. I guess it helped people that were grieving who lost children.
It was I found it to be a very moving and a great ceremony for people who are in mourning and have lost infants or unborn. And I would definitely support that we do something similar again this year for them.
The first thing on there, Mr. Chair, was the Town of Stellarton newsletter. And I just wanted to inform Council again that a town newsletter is being drafted by myself and the Community and Development Recreation Coordinator, Paul. And this is drafted for Council's consideration, in which I will pass around. The newsletter will be going in the water bills 4 times a year. So the idea is just to inform the residents and businesses in the town of Stellarton on the updates from the town. So I will pass that around for Council's perusal.
I think that's an excellent idea, Susan. Keep the residents updated.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank the clerk for taking the initiative on providing a newsletter. We are an open and transparent council, and I think a newsletter is a big part of keeping people informed of what's going on in the community. Thank you.
Would echo that, Mr. Chair, because my understanding is it requires manual folding from the staff, and that's extra work that they didn't used to do, so that is an extra burden on them. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Letter C, the committee members attending relevant conferences. There are a couple of committees that citizens sit on in the town, and right now there is budget for members of the Police Commission to attend relevant conferences. However, there are a couple of others, such as Planning Advisory, as well as Recreation Committee, that there's no set budget for citizen members to attend conferences should they choose. So it has come up that there is a resident that is interested in attending one of the conferences, and I just need council's approval to put that in the budget. It will cost approximately $650.
Mr. Chair, I think we have agreed that we're going to defer everything to budget time, and once budget is deliberated, if we decide that we're going to include that, then it will be part of our next budget year. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I understand that, but is there any place that we can squeeze somebody out if we got one of our committee members that are interested in following up on it? It's with the Recreation Committee, and it's a new committee, just started up, and we've never had it before. So it was, I guess it's something that we could look at in the future, of course. But I like encouraging citizens to attend these. I'm personally not going, but the individual will be the only one going. And usually Paul goes, the coordinator. I think it's a good idea that we get some involvement there. We want to have interest in our committees, that is.
I will volunteer to give, I have a travel expense, I haven't used any, and if this individual would like to go, and it could come out of my expense.
Is that okay?
That's fine. It can be recommended to council that it would be taken out of Deputy Mayor's expense policy, or expense account.
Mr. Chair, we are setting a precedent here. In the past, we didn't used to transfer funds between these kind of line items. So in the future, we will be able to, I guess. But this is a precedent.
Well, Councillor Lawan, I feel that this individual has committed her time and gave a lot to recreation, and I can't go. And I feel if she wants to go, I don't think we should hold her back.
Mr. Chair, I'm not saying to hold her back.
Thank you, Councillor Lawan.
Just a correction on that, we did use funds from our, the first year when we were here, when we had the seniors, up in the seniors complex at Christmas time, we took money out of councillors' expenses.
Not traveling expense, it was the council, it's a different line item. It's potato, I guess, but just setting the record straight.
Thank you, Councillor Lawan.
The next thing is a request from Chief Don Husher regarding tolls. So just need council direction on that.
What was the issue? Where did it come from?
The only information that I have, Mayor McGilvery, is what was in that email sent from Chief Husher. I'm not sure if there's anyone that has any background on that.
Sorry.
The only thing I see from reading that letter is we had Rotarians Club here in Stellarton and they folded. So they combined at Westville and Stellarton. Well, now they're working at a Westville, but they're still servicing the both towns. I think what they're looking for is permission to continue with the toll booth, which I personally don't see a problem with.
I agree with Councillor Knight. That's exactly what the issue is. They used to have a special permission, them and the Lions Club. We kind of stopped the tolls because it was getting out of hand a little bit, and we just made an exception for those two service clubs. Now that the Rotary Club of Stellarton has folded and joined with Stellarton, those individuals are still from Stellarton, and those individuals are also still servicing Stellarton. So I am totally fine with that.
Well, the general consensus is everybody.
Yes?
Yes.
This is just to bring council up to date regarding the dog park that was proposed for the corner of Heritage and McGregor. There's been no movement on there on that piece of land with the request from the province. However, just to let council know that that is opened up again and trying to get some kind of response back from the province. So there's just to let council aware.
Mr. Chair, this issue was brought to me by the fire department. This summer specifically, more so than previous years, for whatever reason. Well, one of the reasons was because of the food truck that parked in the parking lot. But on a couple of different occasions, a firefighter came in to park for a fire call, and they didn't find any spots in the parking lot behind to park their car. So they have asked if they can have a designated spots for the firefighter parking. I thought I would bring it to the council attention.
How many spots are they requesting? Do you know?
They requested 6. when we respond to a fire, whether it is here or outside, at least 4 or 5 goes. Usually we have 18 on average that attend the fire as per the chief's monthly report, but the minimum is around 5. Now there is a couple of spots behind the fire station that can be designated as well, but that will also need permission from us because it's not designated for parking right now. But whatever we can do just to facilitate it, and actually anecdotally, in a previous lifetime, one of the firefighters received a parking fine because they parked on the back of the town hall, and it was a non-parking spot when they went to a fire. That was a long time ago. I don't think it's going to happen now, but that's just a concern that they have right now.
Simon, I think the area in back of the fire hall for now, but I was a member of the fire department back in the 80s, and we never had any problems with parking. Why is it an issue now?
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion? I think that would be in the, I don't know, it's in the engineer, the police's chief's realm. Can we have one of them look into it and come back with a recommendation? If it needs to be spots behind the fire department or whatever?
Sounds good to me. If it's something we can do for the back of the fire department, like lining or something like that, to make it more accessible for parking, then I think that'd be a good option for us to do as well.
I don't know how many vehicles they can park behind the fire hall, maybe 2 at the most, because they got the propane tank there and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. George Street and River Street has been an issue for a long time that we've talked about, from speeding and from lights and stuff like that. But this specific issue, I think this is the first time that I bring it in. It's about the tracks on River Street, and it's one of the busiest tracks out there, and it doesn't have a flashing light, just have a cross. And the resident that approached me was asking if a track lights can be installed. I don't know if this is part of our realm or if this would fall under the chain rails, but I thought I would bring it up for discussion and see if we can, if it's not our realm, maybe Susan can follow up, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just for a point of information, I attended a meeting with one of the citizens from down on George Street. There's 12,000 cars one way in 2-week period went over that George Street. Information pass along.
For council's information, we also have a crossing on McGregor Avenue without lights as well, so I don't know if we should have a look at that at the same time, or I guess we'll find out what the rules are and go from there. And the price. Thank you.
Number culverts, H.
Mr. Chair, this was brought forward as a draft from the town engineer regarding culvert installation and repair. It's for council's perusal.
Mr. Chair, if I can ask the clerk and maybe Lane as well. Did this policy not exist before? I thought it was already an existing policy that we had, that it was the residents' responsibility.
No, there's been several different approaches by different management to culvert replacement. This is an effort to provide a consistent replacement policy for every resident in the town.
Mr. Chair, the only thing that the policy does not cover is in certain situation where the resident says it's a town's fault for whatever reason, whether we are flushing the hydrant and it caused some kind of whatever. I've seen that happen in the past. How are we going to deal with these situations?
Well, that would be at the town engineer's determination.
So, Mr. Blaine, is this consistent with, so what is our past practice? Is it, what are we doing right now without the policy, I guess?
In the past, previous management has left the entirety of the culvert replacement to the nickel of the homeowner. And I guess management of more of the newer era had the complete opposite approach and replaced them at the taxpayers' dollars, including driveway reinstatement, concrete reinstatement. The driveway, the culvert is the homeowner's responsibility, and it is in the town's drainage infrastructure, which is the ditch.
So where would you say this policy falls, somewhere in between the two?
That's correct. Yeah, this would allow the homeowner would be responsible for purchasing the culvert, or the town could purchase it and invoice them, and they would install it at no cost for installation. And the homeowner would be responsible for reinstating their driveway, whether it be asphalt or concrete.
Thank you.
Blaine, how does this policy compare to the other, if there was any, from the surrounding towns?
I know there is other towns that follow the exact same policy from my being involved with as a consultant and as a town engineer in a previous town or a neighboring town.
Would the policy verbiage would be different, I'm assuming, from ours to other towns? Would it be beneficial to have same verbiage to take a look at to see if we want to adopt that?
There is nothing written in the towns that I was involved with. It was just a standard practice.
Thank you, Blaine.
I guess I do have one more question. Sorry, Blaine. Is the reinstatement says here the property owner will be responsible for replacing, including this is number one, including sidewalk repairs and other damages that may occur? I thought traditionally we did sidewalks, but that would not be in this policy?
I guess this would be for a new development. So if a new homeowner was put in a driveway and he had to tear up, yep.
Number 7.
Sorry. Would that be the direction now that we're going to accept it in the next meeting? Is that what the...
If council wants this to go to council meeting in October, this will go for 7-day notice. This is your 7-day notice for approval at the council meeting. I do need a mover and seconder for that, though, to move it forward, to go ahead.
I'll move that we accept the culvert policy as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Against? Motion carried. Right, I guess we'll move on to open forum. Anybody like to speak? Our next meeting will be October 22nd, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. Okay.
I move that we adjourn.
Mayor Danny McGilvery has moved that we adjourn.